Welcome to Server-Side Rendering Fundamentals in Next.js, a slow-paced TypeScript tutorial. By the end of this video, you'll build a Pokemon component that fetches data on the server and displays abilities and base experience on the page. This will help you clearly understand how server-side rendering works in a Next.js app router. No rushing, no jargon, just calm and clear coding. To follow along, start by creating a new Next.js app using Create Next App with TypeScript enabled. I've already covered this in previous tutorials, so we won't count it as one of our main steps. We'll focus only on the server-side rendering parts. We'll do this in 2 steps. Before we start building, let's understand what server-side rendering means. With server-side rendering, the server builds the page first. That includes fetching any data the page needs. The finished HTML is then sent to the browser. Because the data is already included, the browser can show content immediately instead of waiting for JavaScript to fetch it later. That's the core idea behind server-side rendering. Here's what we're building. A simple page that displays a Pokemon's name, its abilities, and its base experience. This data will come from a live API. And because we're using an async server component in the app router, the data is fetched and rendered on the server before the page reaches the browser. By the end of this tutorial, you'll have this working with Pikachu, and you'll be able to reuse the component for any Pokemon you want. Step 1 of 2. Create a file called PokemonComponent.tsx. This will be a reusable server component. It accepts a prop called Pokemon name, which tells the component which Pokemon to fetch. Inside the component, we'll fetch data from the Poke API. Then we'll display the Pokemon's abilities and its base experience. Because this component is async and we're using the app router, it will render on the server. Let's take a moment to understand the structure of this component. At the top, we define the prop type so TypeScript knows this component expects a Pokemon name. Next, we describe the parts of the API response that we plan to use. Then the component itself is declared as an async function. Inside it, we fetch data from the Poke API using the Pokemon name that was passed in. After converting the response to JSON, we return JSX that displays the Pokemon's name, maps over the abilities array to create a list, and shows the base experience. Because this fetch happens inside an async server component, it is executed during server-side rendering. Step 2 of 2. Render Pokemon component. Import the component into page.tsx. Render Pokemon component like you would any other React component. Pass the prop Pokemon name with the value Pikachu. That tells the server component which Pokemon to fetch during rendering. Now run the development server and open the page in your browser. You should see Pikachu's data appear immediately. The abilities should display as a list and the base experience should appear underneath. Because the server generated the HTML before sending it to the browser, everything shows up right away. That means your server-side rendering example is working. If you'd like to support the channel, I sell helpful coding resources and products on my Patreon at patreon.com/autisticcoder. If this kind of direct autism-friendly tutorial is helpful, subscribing is a great way to find your way back here. Thank you for watching. Let's keep learning and growing together.